Welcome to Lot 76 Cars and the Vauxhall Heritage collection at the British Motor Museum. The collection recently moved here when its previous home in Luton was closed for redevelopment, and 30 of the 60 cars out of the collection are currently on display. This car up is probably the only surviving example of the 1909 Vauxhall B-Type 16 horsepower semi-racer. This particular survivor was actually rescued and bought by Vauxhall in 1949 from a breaker's yard in the West Country. Leaping forward by 21 years gets us to this Vauxhall T-Type Melton Golfers Coupe. This is a super example. If anybody's got more information about this car, please put this in the comments. Next up is this beautiful imperial green Lotus Carlton, built between 1990 and 1992. Officially christened the Lotus Type 104, as it was actually built on behalf of GM by Lotus. It's fitted with a 3.6 litre twin turbo engine which propels the vehicle to 177 miles an hour. Originally 1,100 were due to be produced, but just 950 left the factory due to the recession at the time. And in fact, its claim to fame, it's one of the few cars that's ever been mentioned in Parliament due to its top speed and also its ability to be a great getaway car. The partnership between Vauxhall and Holden in Australia brought us this performance car, the Vauxhall VXR8. It was actually marketed in the UK by Vauxhall for 10 years between 2007 to 2017, based on two separate models produced by Holden Special Vehicles, starting out at a 6 litre V8 and finishing with a 6.2. Somewhat of a commercial failure is the Vauxhall Ampera, also marketed in some parts of the world as a Chevrolet Volt. This 84 horsepower petrol engine was complemented with a battery which was up to, in its final form, 17.1 kilowatts, giving a range in its final years of 55 miles on pure electric power. The vehicle never really found success at the time in Europe, and probably would actually be much more successful if launched today. Sporting this contemporary Vauxhall sales and service livery is this Bedford CA van. The Bedford brand, founded in 1931, was part of Vauxhall Motors and then subsequently GM, and unfortunately the brand finally became defunct and closed in 1986. To my eyes at least, one of the most stunning designs ever released by Vauxhall is the Calibra. Styled by the famed GM designer Wayne Cherry, it's a front wheel drive 3-door hatchback coupe but based on the Vectra A chassis. Its ride and handling are not necessarily known as being a benchmark in the class, but it is an absolutely stunning looking car, and particularly in V6 derivative, as this particular vehicle is, it's quite a desirable car now. Only Concorde and Barry Manilow have probably got a more distinctive nose than this vehicle. This is the officially high performance HP Forenza, but known colloquially as the droop snoot after its aerodynamic nose. The nose itself was moulded out of GRP and featured two pairs of Sibi headlamps behind a toughened glass cover. It's an absolutely superb vehicle and particularly had a successful career in touring car racing. Launched at the 1975 London Motor Show was the Mark I Vauxhall Cavalier. Based on the Opel Ascona, it was launched in the dying days of the Mark III Cortina, just when the vehicle was looking its weakest in the fleet market. This really built a strong fleet base for Vauxhall to dominate the fleet market and put up a fight with Ford with the Mark II front-wheel drive Cavalier. Next door, related to the Opel record of the time, is the Victor FE, which ran from 1972 to 1978. Moving down one, we can see this lovely example of a 1970 PB Viscount, which was a 6-cylinder engine. Back in 1965, £1,046 would have bought you this PB Cresta Hydromatic. This is one of the last vehicles. It's fitted with the 3.3 litre engine, but in actual fact by today's standard producing a relatively low power output of just 95 brake horsepower. Sitting in the background is a 1964 FB Victor. Next to that, an F-Type Victor from 1961, and finally right at the back is a Cresta. Back in 1970, the equivalent of today's hot hatch would be the Viva HB GT, sporting a 1975cc Victor engine, producing a respectable 112 brake horsepower and halving the standard vehicle's 0 to 60 time from 20 seconds to just 10. This beautiful example in red and orange is an absolute credit to Vauxhall. To be honest, this is one of my favourites. It's a 1979 Chevette 2300 HS. This vehicle and its successor, the HSR, from 1978 to 1981 were homologated to support Vauxhall's rallying efforts through Dealer Team Vauxhall and Bliderstein Racing. Although 400 were required for homologation, it's believed that maybe as few as 300 were actually built. Happily, over recent years, the number actually licensed and on the road has increased as vehicles have become recommissioned and more collectible, and currently 58 vehicles are in operation. Arriving quite late in the life of the Mark I Astra was this 115 brake horsepower 1.8 litre GTE. The fuel injection helping to deliver a top speed of 115 miles an hour and a 0 to 60 of just 8.5 seconds. It was actually a really hot hatch in the early 80s. In actual fact, compared with its most obvious rivals, the Astra was in fact lighter than the VW Golf and also the Ford Escort. It was actually more powerful than the Volkswagen Golf as well, and actually trumped the Fords by 10 horsepower. If you like white colour-coded vehicles, this is clearly the one for you. This next vehicle is known in the UK as the Vauxhall VX220, but also known in European markets as the Opel Speedster. It's a mid-engine Targa-top two-wheel sports car, built in right-hand drive and left-hand drive versions, but actually built at the Lotus plant in Norfolk in the UK. As you can see from the design, it's clearly related to the Lotus Elise of the time, but in actual fact used a range of Vauxhall's own engines. To celebrate success in the British Touring Car Championship, Vauxhall developed this Astra Coupe 888. Suspiciously close in design and concept to the Puma Racing, this vehicle does really have a racing heritage, as the team it's named after was the 888 race engineering team. Despite the body kit, it does actually use the turbo's excellent 187 brake horsepower 2 litre power plant, and actually delivered a 0 to 60 time of just 7 seconds and a top speed of 152 miles an hour with minimum turbo lag apparently. I really hope you've enjoyed this brief walk round of the Vauxhall Heritage collection at the British Motor Museum. If you have the chance, please go there and see these and the other exhibits. It's well worth a visit. If you've enjoyed this film, please check out my other films on YouTube. Please like, share and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you all next time. Thanks for watching.